I never, ever expected to fall in love like this.
Not now. Not with him. Not at all. Back then, love wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't a goal. It wasn't a wish. It was just something other people did. I was completely wrapped up in my own world. You know, my life, my career goals, my own little pile of problems to solve. I had this whole narrative built up in my head that I didn't need anyone. I was strong, independent, and doing just fine on my own. Thank you very much. And I really believed it. I felt it.
Then he appeared.
It wasn't some dramatic, slow motion, movie scene, entrance.
There was no sudden downpour where we had to share an umbrella. No meet-cute in a coffee shop where I spilled my latte on him.
He just showed up. He quietly slipped into the background of my life. At first, I barely noticed. He was just another person in the room. Someone who was around, someone who would say hi, who would talk to me sometimes. Someone who had this incredible knack for making ordinary, boring moments feel just a little bit lighter, a little less heavy. Slowly, almost without me realizing it, we started talking more. It began with the usual stuff, but then it deepened. We started talking about the random things, the silly thoughts you have during the day. Then it shifted to bigger things.
We talked about life, about our dreams, the ones we held close, and were almost afraid to say out loud.
We shared our fears, the quiet anxieties that we had never admitted to anyone else before. It was like we had found a safe space in each other. Those conversations started lasting longer and longer, stretching late into the night without us even noticing the time passing. Text messages would pop up on my phone just before I went to sleep, and they were the first thing I'd check in the morning. Even with all of that, I refused to call it love. I kept telling myself, this isn't love. It's just a strong connection. It's comfort. It's friendship.
I was trying to keep it in a safe, neat little box, something that wouldn't get complicated. Nothing dangerous.
But he was slowly becoming a part of my daily routine, weaving himself into the fabric of my days. I started to notice his absence more than I ever consciously noticed his presence. A quiet day felt a little too quiet if I hadn't heard from him. His silences made me wonder if everything was okay. I found a sense of calm just knowing he was out there, existing in the same world as me. My thoughts would drift to him at the most random times. I'd see something funny and my first instinct would be to send it to him. And then, without any grand announcement or sudden realization, I just knew. My heart, the one I had guarded so carefully for so long, had started to open up on its own. It wasn't the decision I made. It was a surrender. And that's when I truly understood something profound. Love doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't check your schedule or wait for the perfect moment. Sometimes it arrives when you least expect it, when you think you don't need it. And it shows you just how much you really did. It breaks down the walls you so carefully built and shows you a world you forgot you were missing. Maybe you felt this way, too. That unexpected connection that changes everything. It's a beautiful, terrifying, and wonderful thing. The scariest part about falling in love like this is that you don't see it happening. It's not a sudden crash or a blinding light. It's quiet. It sneaks up on you when you're not paying attention. For me, it started with my phone. One day, I looked down and realized I was smiling at the screen again. Not because of a funny video or a silly meme, but because of a name. His name! A simple notification with his name on it was enough to change my entire mood. And that was just the beginning. Slowly, I started noticing things. Not just the big, obvious stuff, but the tiny details that most people would overlook. The way his eyes would crinkle at the corners when he genuinely laughed. The specific way he would listen, not just waiting for his turn to talk, but really hearing what I was saying. He'd remember the most random, insignificant things I'd mentioned weeks ago, like my favorite kind of tea or a story about my childhood pet. He'd bring them up later, and it would feel like he was holding a little piece of my history in his hands, treating it with care. I started paying attention to the way he looked at me when I spoke, like my words were the most fascinating thing in the world. All these small, seemingly meaningless details began to weave together, creating a picture I couldn't ignore. Things that never mattered before suddenly meant everything. And then, Almost as quickly as the warmth spread, the fear crept in. It was cold and sharp, and it settled deep in my stomach. Because with a love this real comes a flood of terrifying questions. Am I the only one feeling this? Is this all in my head? What if I say something? What if I don't? What if admitting this ruins the beautiful friendship we already have? The what-ifs became a constant drumbeat in my mind, a rhythm of anxiety that I couldn't escape. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. The view was breathtaking, but the fall looked terrifying. So, I did what anyone scared of getting hurt would do. I tried to push it all away. I built walls around my heart. Brick by logical brick. I gave myself pep talks in the mirror. Stop it, I'd whisper. You're being foolish. Be careful. Protect yourself. I tried to rationalize my feelings away, telling myself it was just a crush, a phase, that it would pass. I reminded myself of past heartbreaks, of the pain that comes when things don't work out. I tried to use logic as a shield against emotion. But here's the thing about a love like this. It doesn't listen to logic. It doesn't care about your carefully constructed walls or your rational arguments. It's a force of nature, patient and persistent. No matter how hard I tried to deny it, the feeling was there, undeniable and true. Every time he laughed, that genuine full-body laugh, it was like a wave of warmth washing over my chest. My own logic would just melt away. Every time he was sad or stressed, I felt it too. A shared weight, a deep ache in my own heart. I wanted to take his pain away, to fix whatever was wrong, to see him smile again. And then there was the jealousy. Oh, that quiet, ugly, possessive jealousy I never wanted to admit to, not even to myself. Seeing someone else make him laugh or get his attention sparked a little fire inside me, a little voice that whispered, "That should be me." That's when I finally knew. That's when I stopped fighting it. The moment I acknowledged that feeling, that little sting of jealousy, I had to face the truth. I was falling in love. Not in the dramatic, movie-like way I always imagined. It wasn't fast. It wasn't loud or chaotic. It was slow. It was steady. It was deep. It was the kind of love that grows from a tiny seed of friendship and respect into something strong and rooted. Something that feels like it's always been a part of you, just waiting to be discovered. And as scary as it was, it also felt like coming home. Thank you so much for listening. If this story resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.